knowing the fact that there are still many changes that probably still happening.
But this restructuring that we're doing is going to ripple through the budget. We're going to get most of it now.
The next tab is, of course, the graph of today's presentation and our budget that you are approving for the 08-09 year. The next page tab, which is the green tab, are all the summaries for the unrestricted funds, and also even in going over this information, even the changes that we've done impact this. So we'll probably have to revise this a little bit more, like what we have under the technology changes, fund management, and we have the administrative superintendent facilities that we're changing. So there's going to be some changes that we tried to get, but there's still more to come on these summary sheets. And again, these are the summary sheets, and if you want to see the detail, that's the next tab that follows for all of the unrestricted budget. And that includes anything from ed services to direct service to internal business to HR. All of those next pages to follow with the colored tabs are for the unrestricted side. And then the next tab, which is the pink sheet, are the restricted programs. And I think it's pretty handy how we can refer to it as tonight. As you can see, those last two pages, all of those last pages were almost alternative ed. So, like we said, yeah, they have a major program that they have and they run, which is their juvenile court and the community court, which is an funny number, but it's almost the fourth one from the end. And you can see on the top, it starts with alternative ed programs, and they start with, to the far right, it starts with juvenile court, the community schools, and all the other many programs that they run. If you turn the next pages, you'll see on top, all of those are still continuing alternative ed, and the page to follow, and almost the end there. So there's a lot of programs and grants that alternative ed does run. So if you want to get a feel of the programs within the major categories, such as student well-being, special ed, ed services, those are all in these pink sheets that are right there. And the next tab are the state forms. These are the forms that are submitted to California Department of Ed, and these are the actual forms that we do approve. The first white pages that follow the first tab is your general fund. The column to the left are estimated actuals, what we think we're going to be at this time. And then the 08-09 is the budget, so where we are planning and projecting for the budget year. Then the next colored pages are different funds that we have here at ICOE. So we not only have the general fund, which is mainly what our board sees on the first interim, second interim. And the only time that you see all of the funds are at July 1st, at actual, and then at, those are the only two that you see there. So this is, I like to always take the time to just very briefly, the 10 pages are the Child Development Fund. And if you can look at those pages, you'll see that we have our Child Development Fund. It's pretty much a slight decrease, but pretty much still in the $15 million range. And the projections are pretty close. As their contracts are approved, they go ahead and budget for them. But at this time, they're pretty much saying that they're going to stay within very close to what they have in the current budget year. The next one is the deferred maintenance, which we always make our match. And we saw a lot of utilization in the current year, and not much activity planned so far because we need to have the projects in place before we can go ahead and budget. But definitely they have balances. We do track them separately by special ed dollars, alt ed dollars, and then the general fund dollars. So those are the three major programs that contribute into the deferred maintenance. And these are for, again, such things like deferred maintenance in the Del Rio or the other school that they have in alternative ed, or any of their sites for any major improvements such as new ACs, new roofs, anything like that that would qualify into the deferred maintenance plan. The next tab, the orange pages, are the special reserve that Damon was mentioning earlier. And if you notice, we do have on the first column, the 0708, all we have in there is the interest that it would have accumulated for the current year. And then on the 0809 is where you'll see the transfer going out of the $2.3 million. And you'll see it on the, I'll point that out on the next, the pink sheet. That's where the self-insured fund is. So that's usually the only activity that will come into this fund for retirees. And again, this is the one that you approved tonight for the resolution to transfer it into this self-insurance fund. The next one is our buildings, and these are any buildings that we have within alternative ed, or special ed, alternative ed, or any of the other projects that we have planned. The next one is the capital facilities. These are where we normally track the RTA funds, which we will probably be moving into.
We did.
Oh, we did. Into the general fund. And the next.
That's an accounting change. Apparently, we can account for our redevelopment funds in either the general fund or the capital facilities fund. And so that was recently clarified for us, and so we're going to count them in the general fund and track them there. All right. And the reason is under hardship funds, we were losing our redevelopment funds. The state was coming in every time we got a hardship program. We were saying, thank you very much for your contribution to the redevelopment fund. Well, if I put them in the general fund right now, the state's not allowed to grab those funds. So it's really kind of dumb rules, but it historically wasn't a lot of money. It's $5,000 to $10,000 a year because, you know, redevelopment funds kind of cycle up over time. It's starting that up now, and we're up to about $50,000 a year or so in redevelopment funds. So we don't want the state to start grabbing that from us. So to move it, just depositing them there rather than in the facilities fund. So then the state will get wise and take it from us. But we'll figure something else out, right?
The next one are the planning school facilities fund. And probably, I don't know, Angie might be able to elaborate a little bit more of those projects that are in the budget. I think most of the two are special ed.
Right, the main project, the two, one classroom at Maine, two at Kennedy, they're almost completed, and then we have the planning for we like it.
And the next pink sheet are the, what Dana mentioned, that we use for the self-insurance fund that we have for the dental and vision. We have a separate fund for it. We have one for workers' comp, and then now we're setting one up for the retirement benefits. All three different funds, but unfortunately they all roll up into one. What we are going to do is try and identify them. We can identify them on the system. It's just the way that the state form is presented. It all rolls it up into one. So we're going to try and designate it as the one, the balance of that belongs to workers' comp, one that belongs to the dental and vision, and then now the retirement, so that it's easier to track. And it's just going to be a legally reserved balance. And that's it now. And that's it for the packet itself. And I do have the presentation for the board tonight.
What were those 15 minutes?
I try to make it as brief as I can, but I think that it's so important to at least have a brief overview of what's going on.
15 minutes is
It's fine. You have, of course, tonight the 0809 budget. The July 1st budget report indicates initial estimates for the 0809 fiscal year and includes preliminary projections for the 0708 fiscal year. We do ask at this time on the projections for the next year for the departments to look at their existing budget, to look and see we're so close to the end of the year. Where do you think that you're not going to spend those dollars? So that we speed them up at this time and give our board a better projection of where we're going to be at the end of the fiscal year. Again, for the 0809, we're still very good, well above the, close to the $70-some million budget. In the 0708 year, well above the $80 million, which we're doing really, really well.